Chapter 13, The Chase. A thoroughbred of the streets, Jemmy acted on instinct. He didn't wait to be nabbed. In a burst of straw, he shot up and made a leap for the door. Cutwater, startled, lost the merest breath of time, but it was enough. Jemmy flung open the door and ran, his long arms outstretched. Cutwater lurched after him, and Prince Brat followed. Jemmy vanished into the wild green tangle. He jumped a great fallen log, ducked under low-hanging branches, and like a rabbit, made sudden changes in direction. I love what the author did here. He's giving me a picture. I know that Cutwater is running after him, but that's not what he tells me. He tells me that Jemmy vanished into the wild green tangle. So that gives me a really good picture of what the forest looks like. Is it a nice path that he's running down? No. If it's a green tangle, what's the green in the forest?
Moss.
The trees, maybe moss, the plants, vines. Very good. And if it's a tangle, vines give me a really good picture. Everything's all wound together. Okay, so I'm going to reread that paragraph. I want you to get this picture in your head that the author is giving you. Jemmy vanished into the wild green tangle. He jumped a great fallen log, great meaning big, ducked under low-hanging branches, and like a rabbit, made sudden changes in direction. He could hear Cutwater close behind, breathing like a bellows. I'm on your tracks. Stop before I get aggravated with you, Prince. What does he mean? Aggravated. Jemmy covered the ground at full tilt. Leaves crackled under his feet. Oh, he thought, he might as well be leading a confounded parade for all the noise he was making. So if I know he's making noise running, then there must be sounds underneath him. What makes sounds in the forest?
Sticks.
Leaves, sticks, all of that. He reached a small clearing and half jumped out of his skin. Sniffing near the skeleton white roots of an upturned hollow tree stood a wild beast. A bear! Jemmy would have preferred Cutwater's own company, but before he could find his legs, the hairy beast took flight. It went crashing away to Jemmy's left. Jemmy got his breath back. Then, almost without thinking, he dove into the hollow of the dead tree and snugged himself in. If you can see the picture, you can see there was a little cutout, and he tucked himself inside there.
Pretty nice. It's a bear.
Moments later, he caught the merest glimpse of Cutwater cupping an ear. Cupping meaning this. Turning on his heels, the rattlebone man gave a shout. Practically got you by the hind leg, pesky prince. Jemmy let out a small sigh of relief. Cutwater would have a mighty surprise if he caught that bear by the hind leg. As the sounds of the chase grew fainter, Jemmy crawled out of the hollow roof. The sun was now high enough to send down smoky rays of light through the treetops. Which way was the river? And then he saw Prince Brat, his face lobster red from running, at the edge of the clearing. Unfaithful servant, he protested, glaring hard at Jemmy. What does protest mean?
I think I've heard it, but I forgot what it means.
Think about that. Unfaithful servant, he protested. Is he telling him something nice, like,
Oh no.
I'm so glad to see you? If I protest against something, it means I'm against it. I don't like it. I might be arguing against it. Okay? So if you think about the story that we just read about the astronaut and the onion, Gloria protested when the astronaut said, well, maybe you could. She said, probably I couldn't. Gloria protested. She's arguing, saying, no way, I can't, what? This is not right. Until this moment, Jemmy hadn't had a moment's pause for anger, but now fury shot through his eyes. Curse his blabber-tongued, hateful prince. You betrayed me, Jemmy yelled. You have deserted me without a care, Prince Brat said. Jemmy bristled. Ain't it me they think is the prince? If you hadn't pointed me out under the straw, Cutwater would have flown off to pick up my tracks, and we could have crept away dead easy. I wouldn't be running my lungs out. The prince pondered this for a moment. What does pondered mean? Thought about it. He nodded. Then I forgive you. Think about that.
He shouldn't be forgiven.
Who's the one that needs to forgive someone? Did Jemmy do something wrong and the prince should forgive him? Or did the prince do something wrong and Jemmy should forgive him? Right, so Jemmy's saying, you messed this up. I had a way for us to just walk out easy, and here we are having to run away from him, breathing our lungs out, running our lungs out, which would be an idiom. Are their lungs really coming out of them? No, it just means I'm breathing really hard. And when he tells him the plan, when he says, I made it, we could have walked out, then the prince says, like realizes, oh, that's what was happening? Okay, Jemmy, I forgive you. How do you think Jemmy's feeling right now?
Angry and aggravated.
Angry and aggravated, that's a good way to put it. Jemmy was speechless for a moment. Forgive me! Don't trouble yourself, my good and loyal prince, and get yourself another whipping boy. But I have not dismissed you from my service, said the prince calmly. I dismiss myself, Jemmy fired back. I'll get where I'm going. You can find your own way back to the castle. I'll go with you, said the prince. Not likely. Jemmy turned to the right and beat his way back into the foliage. If you didn't know what foliage is, where did he just come from?
The tree.
The trees, the forest. What did the author tell you about the forest? It was tangled, and what color? Green. So if he's going back to the foliage, then you know that has something to do with
The forest.
the forest,
The
the
whole
plants, the green. Very good.